You may have seen a news article of doctors applying for jobs with Uber and Tesco's, and there's also been a mass exodus of doctors fleeing the UK to work abroad where the work-life balance and pay is a lot better. Now, although we don't know what the future has to hold in the UK when it comes to the healthcare industry, I am fortunate enough to have been able to build a portfolio career, which basically means that although I'm a doctor, I've actually featured on TV, I've been able to invest in property, and I love creating content. And in today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you guys the mindset hacks that have allowed me to do this. So if you're interested in building your dream career, especially if you're in your early 20s as well, then stay tuned for the rest of this video. The first thing is not being afraid to not follow the norms. And I know that there's a lot of nots in that sentence. However, if I don't want your life, why am I following you? Let's insert the sip tea emoji right here, because in life, your actions all compound and allow you to arrive at a destination. If you work out 4 days a week and you stick to your diet plan, chances are you're gonna have abs showing, you're gonna have your beach bod, summer bod all year round, right? The same thing with careers. If there is someone whose career you don't aspire, following their footsteps will only mean that you are more likely to end up like them. And if that's not the outcome that you want, then it's time to opt out and not do what they did. And I have found that people find not doing the norm very uncomfortable. And don't get me wrong, it is. Being in a state where you are figuring out a pathless path is awkward. It requires a certain degree of faith. You don't know what the next day has to offer. However, the people who have been bold and who haven't followed the social norms have been rewarded for that. When we think about apps and devices and products that we use, these people opted out from quote unquote the norm to create a new reality for themselves that paid off despite how uncomfortable the process would have been. And a friend of mine recently shared a quote with me, and she basically said that people would rather be unhappy than uncomfortable. But one thing I've realized is being uncomfortable is part of the growing process. It's a bit like growing pains. You go through it and then you get stronger and you're able to sustain yourself at the new level that you are because you have grown. Being uncomfortable is normal. I've been told by a lot of my mentors that it's important to be comfortable whilst you are uncomfortable. In other words, embracing the uncertainty, embracing the journey, because that's what allows you to have a unique life and helps you to achieve your dreams, especially if they are outside the norm. The second thing is not being afraid to take risks. I remember the first time I was asked to be on TV. I had not been on TV before. I could have been shooketh and said, you know what, I've not done this before, I'm not gonna do this. But actually I thought, this is a great opportunity. I might hate it, and if I do hate it, then I just won't pursue an opportunity in that domain again. But if I love it, then I will be on TV screen. And I loved it and I learned so much, and it was completely different to my day job. And one thing that I realized when it comes to taking risks, although you could argue that's not a crazy risk, you learn something that can be applied to a different situation. And someone said to me, you miss 100% of the shots that you don't shoot. I mean, what's the worst case scenario? You shoot the shot, it flops, but at least you shot it in the first place and you get the experience of shooting it, right? And I think when you desire to have a life that is outside the norm, you have to be willing to take risks. I went up to a man who was in my dream car and I literally said to him, I was like, what do you do for a living that has allowed you to afford this car, right? And my best friend was with me and he said that he was in property. And I said, if you had any advice for a young person who was trying to achieve the same level of wealth as you have, what would you say? And he was like, well, aside from, work hard, he would also say, take risk. I think it's so true. However, one thing I do want to say though is when something is really risky, there are things that you can do to mitigate the risk. A bit like investing. When you want to invest, they will tell you that the past performance is not an indicator of future performance. However, it just means that you need to educate yourself and you need to mitigate the risk. When it comes to big jumps, there are things that you can do, such as self-development, making sure that you have a good team of people around you, or surrounding yourself with mentors who are where you want to get to make sure that you aren't making as many mistakes, and even if mistakes are a part of the process. The next thing is using your out of work hours wisely. According to stats, the average person spends 35 hours a week watching TV. And I'm not against watching TV, however, imagine if you spent 2 hours every evening literally doing something that you love, but adding another layer to it. So let's say you love music, I love listening to music, and let's say, you know what, I wanted to get into sound production, right? And I wanted to create my own beats. I could dedicate 2 hours every single day and first understanding how you compose beats and then adding different layers to it, right? But the idea is if I did 2 hours every single day, in a year, I have a new skill. I have a new layer to my understanding of music. And there's a concept that is known as the 10,000 hour rule, which is the idea that if you spend 10,000 hours doing something, you will be able to become a master or an expert at it. And imagine actually hitting a 10,000 hour mark just by purely following your interests in the thing that you were interested in. And then at expert level, you're able to monetize it, which is a crazy combination because you've basically been able to monetize something that you're interested in and turning it into a side hustle. So even if you don't even get to that stage and you've just gotten to the stage of having a new skill that you're good at, that is amazing. And I remember going to Stephen Bartlett's show and he was talking about a concept known as skill stacking, which is the idea that people should have loads of unique different skills because it makes them more valuable in the workplace. And he talks about a guy who loved writing but was in the biotech field, and so there was a unique opportunity that came up where they were looking for a biotech writer, and he was able to pay this person £150,000 as a starting salary, I believe it was, because it was just so rare to have both of those skills combined together. So imagine someone's really interested in biotech and then they're also interested in writing. They pursued both and they've ended up with a perfect opportunity. And the last one, although it isn't a mindset or a behavior change, it's not telling everyone what you're doing. Now, I am all for telling people about what you're doing if they can help you, encourage you, pour into you, all of that good stuff. However, there are some people who don't think the same way you think or don't have the same purpose as you. So when you tell them that you're about to do something that isn't normal, instead of encouraging you, they actually discourage you or they tell you 10,000 reasons why you can't do it. Those people don't need to know what you're doing, especially if you are doing something that is different from the norm, that is not a path that people naturally would trod when it comes to creating your dream career. And if you are creating your dream career or trying to, then chances are you're probably trying to do something that not many people do. So be mindful of the people who you have around you and remember that it's not their fault. It's just that they don't have the same perspective, and that is completely okay. So yeah guys, those are the mindset changes / things that I did in order to help build my quote-unquote portfolio career so early on in my career journey. Now, I am not an expert. I'm just a girl in her 20s trying to figure things out. So hopefully they were helpful for you guys too. If you have any points that will also be of benefits, then let me know in the comments. Otherwise, I will link a video to the end of this video that I think you'd enjoy. So look out for that, and I'll see you in my next one. Take care. Bye.